The sun rose slowly over the quiet city, casting a golden light through the window of a small apartment. Inside, Sara stood silently, holding a chipped cup of warm tea. Her tired eyes gazed out, but her mind was deep in thought. Life as a single mother had never been easy. After her husband left 3 years ago, she had been both mother and father to her son Arman. Every day, she woke up before dawn, made breakfast, walked Arman to school, and worked 2 jobs to make ends meet. Her mornings were filled with cleaning houses, and her nights were spent stocking shelves at the local grocery store. There was barely time to rest, but she never complained. Each time she saw Arman's bright smile, her exhaustion melted away. That morning, as Arman slept peacefully in the next room, she looked at his tiny shoes by the door and felt a deep warmth in her heart. She stepped closer to him, brushed his hair gently, and whispered, "I promise to give you a better life, no matter what." Her voice trembled with emotion. It wasn't just a promise. It was a vow born out of love and sacrifice. She knew Arman deserved more. Books, clothes, comfort, and she would do everything to provide them. Even though her hands were rough from cleaning, and her feet ached from standing all day, her spirit remained strong. In that moment, she didn't feel poor or tired. She felt powerful, because she had something more valuable than gold: a mother's love and determination. As the light filled the room, Sara took a deep breath and smiled. A new day had begun, and so had her silent promise to keep going for Arman and for the future she dreamed of giving him. A week later, the air at Arman's school was filled with nervous energy. Miss Lila, the English teacher, stood at the front of the classroom holding a stack of papers. "Today, we have a surprise English test," she announced, her voice firm but kind. The students gasped, and Arman's heart began to race. He hadn't studied. The night before, he had stayed up helping his mother wash dishes and fold laundry. When he finally sat to read, sleep had taken over. Now, with a pencil trembling in his hand, Arman stared at the paper. But as he read the first question, a spark of hope flickered. It was a sentence he remembered from a story his mother had read to him. Every night, before sleeping, Sara made time, no matter how tired she was, to read simple English stories to him. They would sit on their old couch, Arman tucked under her arm, as she slowly read words, explaining their meanings and asking him to repeat them. Her voice was soft, patient, and full of encouragement. Now, in the classroom, those lessons came back like magic. Arman answered one question, then the next. Confidence replaced fear. By the time he reached the last page, he was smiling. When the bell rang, he handed in his paper and walked out with a light heart. That evening, as he reached home, he threw his arms around his mother and exclaimed, "Mama, I did well in the test because you taught me every night." Sara looked at him with surprise and pride, her eyes welling with tears. She knelt down, kissed his forehead, and whispered, "You're going to do amazing things, my son." In that small apartment, filled with tired furniture but big dreams, they both felt like they had already won. 2 weeks later, a soft envelope with a gold emblem arrived at Arman's school. Miss Lila smiled as she called his name and handed it to him. Confused but curious, Arman opened the letter with trembling hands. His eyes widened as he read the words. He had been selected to participate in the district's English storytelling competition. A cheer erupted from his classmates, but Arman stood frozen, overwhelmed by disbelief. That evening he ran all the way home, the letter tightly clutched in his hand. Bursting through the door, he shouted, "Mama! Mama! I've been chosen!" Sara turned from the stove, her tired face brightening instantly. She took the letter from his hands and read it aloud, tears forming in her eyes. "Oh, Arman," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You did it." From that moment, their small home became a place of preparation and excitement. Every night, after dinner, Sara helped Arman practice his story. She listened patiently as he stumbled over words, corrected his pronunciation gently, and clapped every time he improved. They turned the living room into a stage, using a chair as a podium and their cat as an audience. Though Sara couldn't afford fancy new clothes or tutors, she gave Arman something even more valuable: her time, her heart, and her belief in him. She ironed his cleanest shirt with care and packed his favorite snack for the big day. "You don't have to win," she said, brushing his hair. "Just do your best and speak from your heart." As Arman looked into his mother's tired but glowing eyes, he nodded with determination. For the first time, he believed not only in the story he would tell, but also in the voice he had, because someone he loved believed in it first. The day of the storytelling competition arrived, and the school auditorium buzzed with excitement. Children from all over the district had gathered, dressed in their best clothes, holding papers, nervously rehearsing their lines. Arman stood backstage holding his note cards tightly. His heart pounded like a drum, and his palms were sweaty. He peeked through the curtain and scanned the crowd until he saw her, his mother, Sara, sitting in the third row. She wore her oldest dress, carefully mended at the seams, and her hands were folded tightly in her lap. But her eyes met his, full of love and encouragement. When Arman's name was called, he stepped onto the stage, his small legs trembling. For a moment, fear crept in. But then he remembered the nights spent practicing with his mother, her gentle voice reminding him, "Speak from your heart." Taking a deep breath, Arman began his story. His voice was clear, his words strong. He spoke about courage, about dreams, and about a mother who never gave up. As he spoke, the audience grew silent, drawn into the honesty of his words. When he finished, there was a pause, then thunderous applause. Sara stood up, clapping through tears. Arman didn't win first prize, but he received a special recognition award for Best Emotional Storytelling. On the way home, he held the certificate proudly in one hand and his mother's hand in the other. "I couldn't have done it without you, Mama," he whispered. Sara smiled, brushing a tear away. "You did it because you believed in yourself." That night, they placed the certificate on the wall above Arman's bed. It wasn't just paper. It was proof that love, support, and belief could build something powerful. And in that small room, both hearts were full,